Qimir being either the start or one of the founding fathers, quote unquote, of the Ren. So I think this is really cool. Of course, we finally have it. Leslye Headland confirmed that Qimir slash the Stranger was going to be the first Ren. Whew. So going forward, we see Kylo Ren. We know who that is. Ben Solo, the son of Leia Organa and Han Solo, Luke Skywalker's nephew, Darth Vader's grandson, Kylo Ren. Ren. The Knights of Ren. Not Sabine Wren, but Ren. And yes, this has nothing to do with Jedi or Sith. It is quite frankly its own thing. So today let's step into the nature of the Ren. Let's start with Qimir. Let's work our way all the way down to Kylo Ren. And let's just talk about the Ren in general. So stick with me. Here we go. Overall, there's something fascinating about the shadows of the Force. Not just the Jedi or the Sith, but everything that exists in between. Now, with all of this aside, there is one thing that exists, and that is the Ren. It's not just a title, it's an idea. It's a fire that's been passed down from one to another. Let's start with Qimir and the Acolyte. At the beginning of the story, going by the name Qimir, this is the man we meet in the Acolyte, and he isn't your typical dark side user. A lot of fans speculated that he was the man behind the mask, and that came out to be very true. He wasn't driven by rage or revenge. There was something more controlled, more philosophical about him. He's seen the Jedi as true oppressors, gatekeepers of the Force, deciding who gets to feel it and who doesn't. And we see this with a lot of the dialogue going back and forth between Qimir and Sol. There also could have been a huge story between Vernestra and Qimir, but that could be a later story. In The Acolyte, we also see Darth Plagueis in live action for the first time ever. Yeah, Darth Plagueis. Master Plagueis. Darth Plagueis the Wise. And the more we look back at it, it's not because Qimir is a Sith, it's because Darth Plagueis could be seeing him as a potential threat. Hence why he squints his eyes as he sees Qimir leaving the planet. Qimir becomes the first to form a new belief system. Not the Jedi, not the Sith, but the Ren. This of course filters out to a small group of followers who reject structure and worship the raw, unfiltered nature of the Force. The word Ren itself could come to symbolize that fire, that energy that consumes and transforms. And in this version of the story, Qimir doesn't just disappear after the events of the Acolyte. He actually becomes a legend and a forebearer going forward with the Ren. So Qimir slash the Stranger being the very interesting character that he is, I feel like going forward there's so much story that's left to be told. And I mean, us as Star Wars fans, we always speculate what can happen with these new characters, especially mysterious ones. We really don't know a lot about Qimir. We don't get enough story with him even in the Acolyte. And of course the Acolyte is controversial no matter what part of the fandom you're in. It does kind of suck that that's what it came to, but that doesn't mean we can't see more Qimir in the future. So if you're a fan of Qimir, don't get your hopes up. We could very well see him again. So let's go ahead and move forward to Ben Solo. You probably know that name just because it's been recirculating a lot lately. And yes, this is Kylo Ren. So now let's take this centuries later. Another student struggles with that same balance. Ben Solo, the son of Han and Leia, the student of Luke Skywalker, and the grandson of Darth Vader. Ben always carried that internal conflict, a heart full of light but drawn to darkness he couldn't quite understand. When the Jedi failed to give him clarity, the darkness offered something simpler: freedom. In the Rise of Kylo Ren comics, we see that Ben didn't create the Knights of Ren, they already existed. They were wanderers, outlaws, dark side users who followed their own code. The Ren is the fire, and it burns. This group didn't just follow Sith rules or ancient hierarchies, they lived by instinct, by emotion, by destruction. And when Ben finally confronts their leader, a man literally named Ren, he defeats him and takes up his mantle. This is when Ben Solo truly becomes Kylo Ren. It's kind of like the Darksaber. You know, whoever you beat with the Darksaber, you now have the Darksaber. If you kill the Ren, you become the Ren. So does that mean that Rey Skywalker is the Ren? Rey Ren? Nah, she didn't kill Ben. Right? Yeah, nah, she didn't do that. Never mind. But what if that cult, the Knights of Ren, traced their roots all the way back to Kymir's teachings? What if Ben unknowingly inherited a philosophy that had been burning in the dark for centuries? A belief that force is not about control, but about surrender. But in this way, Kylo Ren was not a fallen Jedi. Now, if we kind of look at Snoke, for instance, you know, Palpatine playing Snoke this entire time, using him as his puppet, luring Kylo Ren to the dark side. I feel like with Palpatine coming back, his final straw would be pretty much to get anything that is closely related to Vader, this being Kylo Ren, Ben Solo. It's not like Palpatine would have went after Luke by any means. I mean, he's hiding on Ahch-To, no one knew where he was. So for Palpatine looming in the darkness, Kylo Ren was pretty much his only option. So with those two stories of Qimir starting the Ren, and Kylo Ren taking on the Ren, basically being the final Ren, let's see what this can create together. So when you look at Qimir and Ben Solo side by side, it's pretty identical. Two Force users, both drawn to freedom, both disillusioned by the Jedi, both seeking truth in the dark. Qimir could have been a philosopher, the one who lit the fire, and Ben Solo, the heir, the one who let it burn. Now, there's been a lot of Ren in between, of course, the times 100 years before The Phantom Menace, all the way up to the events of the sequel trilogy, 25 years after Return of the Jedi. There's a long timeline there where there could have been multiple Ren groups. So maybe the cult of Ren may have evolved a little bit. Maybe it changed, but the core belief remained the same, that the Force should be felt, not controlled. That power isn't evil, it's more natural. So in a strange way, Qimir and Kylo were both chasing authenticity. They didn't want to destroy everything, but they wanted to rebuild something real. Now we do see Kylo Ren go into temper tantrums a little bit and throw things around, of course with his lightsaber. That also just shows the feeling that he has to be better and to want to be more, and he just can't really allow himself to. And of course with all the manipulation with Snoke, there's a lot of things going on with Ben Solo. It's really about a freedom that comes at a cost. We don't know how Qimir's story wraps up, but you can only almost guarantee that it ends in death somehow, maybe tragically. Maybe a young Palpatine takes out Qimir, and I feel like a lot of Star Wars fans would more than likely be okay with that. So this is where I come up with the theory of the Tales of Ren being the next Tales of series on Disney+. Qimir as the origin, Kylo as the continuation. Two timelines, two perspectives, connected by the same flame. So with the Ren being a cycle, who knows? There could still be remnants of the Ren out there lurking in the darkness, looking for their new leader. But what do you guys think of the Ren starting with Qimir, ending with Ben Solo? I mean, two characters that I love dearly. I think they need just a little bit more limelight. Characters need fleshed out just a little bit more, but I think a lot of Star Wars fans would enjoy seeing these two back on screen. But as always, please let me know down in the comments, what do you guys think of the Ren, Qimir, Ben Solo, Kylo Ren? Let me know. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. That's the best way you can show me that these videos are doing well. But with that being said, guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. This is the way.